Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another in-depth first-person walk around here on NNT Auto Reviews. My name is Tyler, as always, behind the camera, and today we are checking out the 2021 Volkswagen Tiguan in the SE trim level. Now, in traditional fashion, I'd like to show you guys the window stickers before we get into the details, so that you know how Volkswagen sets up the window stickers and what kind of equipment we're working with. So the way they do set up these window stickers is the fuel economy right up here, the crash test ratings right over here, and which in the categories it is rated in, which there are only a few, it has earned either 5 or 4 stars. We have shipping information down below, and then our parts content as well. So you can see that US and Canada parts stand at 7%, Mexico at 35%, and the final assembly point for this car is down in Puebla, Mexico. Now we get on over here to all of the car's standard features. Then we also have warranty information up there. And then we get down to the all-important options. And this car does have one kind of major option that I'd like to point out, and that is the $1,200 panoramic sunroof. It has a couple of other accessories, things like your auto-dimming rear view mirror on the inside, the monster mats and the rear cargo mat, which are just kind of like your rubber winter floor mats. Then you also have a first aid kit and roadside assistance kit that is $99. Now, Volkswagen charges you $1,195 for shipping, and the total sticker price for this particular car is at $31,749. And taking a walk to the side profile of the vehicle, we can discuss our colors now. There are 7 of them available on the SE trim level, and we are working with the platinum gray metallic. And that color really brings out the body lines in this car, so you could see a very prominent line starting on your fender and ending up all the way wrapping around to the tailgate. So that's a pretty neat character line on this car, and you can really recognize this car from the side from that line alone. And the wheelbase does stand at 109.8 inches. And finally, taking a look at the handsome rear end to this car, we can discuss our drivetrain options. Now, on most Tiguan models, you will get front-wheel drive as standard. However, up here in the northeastern climate, most of these cars will be optioned out with the 4Motion all-wheel drive. And according to Volkswagen, you can tow around 1,500 pounds with the Tiguan if you needed to. Alright, so we can start off the details of the exterior on the 2021 Volkswagen Tiguan. Out on the front, and in specific with the headlamps. Now, on pretty much all of your trims except for the top SEL Premium, you will get halogen bulbs for both your high and low beams, but you do have LED daytime lights and your turn signals over there. And once you do step it up to that SEL Premium, you have everything LED, so high and low beams and the whole 9 yards. Now, below your headlamps, you have a couple of cool pieces of trim, and then a nice painted piece that goes around the bottom. You also have your main grille finished off in chrome and with the Volkswagen emblem that hides all of the front sensors for your safety warnings. That pretty much does it for the front end, pretty simple. And moving up to our hood, we have a pretty long and more sloping style hood and some pretty neat creases that go along with the one that goes down the whole side of the vehicle. And on the S and SE, you will get these 17-inch alloys, and they do have a machine finish and then a painted black inserts. Pretty nice looking wheel, and they are of course the 17-inch wheels, and the tires measure to 15/65. As you can see, you have some flat black cladding that goes all the way around the wheels, and down the side and the bottom of the doors, and that is to reduce all of the mud and whatnot that collect on the paint. So it rather collects on the black plastic than on the paint. You have chrome surrounds all the way around the windows. Flip around to see that you have some nice mirrors with the turn signals, and you also have your blind spot warning on the inside of the mirrors. If we move back, we have the smart key on both the front handles. So you just put your finger right here on the sensor, it'll lock all the doors, and put your hand behind the sensor, it'll unlock. Pretty much same setup back here as far as the wheels and tires go. And you can see we have a little bit of a roof spoiler, as well as the roof rails, the shark fin antenna, and the panoramic roof. So out back, as far as our lighting goes, we do have a different story. So everything is LED back here, including our turn signals, tail lights, and brake lights as well. You have more of that black cladding to protect your paint, and a little bit of chrome elements on the top and on the bottom. And the bottom ones kind of mimic a exhaust pipe finishers, but the actual exhaust comes out below the rear bumper. As far as badging back here, we have the Tiguan SE, the Volkswagen badge, and the 4Motion all-wheel drive badge. We also have the reversing camera and the trunk release. Alright, so now we'll check out what's happening underneath the hood of the Tiguan. Alright, so opening the hood is as easy as just locating the latch on the top and just picking it up like so. And we have a relatively simple engine bay, so there's not a whole lot of stuff going on under here. We have some fluid reservoirs like your coolant and your windshield washer. And we also have our oil filter and a oil dipstick, which is becoming increasingly rare nowadays. But nothing too crazy going on underneath the hood, which is again good for reliability, like I say. You can see the exhaust goes out the rear, and you can see the turbocharger back there as well, and a bunch of heat shielding. And you also have insulation on the top to reduce noise. So, stepping into the Tiguan, we are greeted with the Volkswagen name right on the A-pillar, and that is new for 2021. All Volkswagen models seem to have that. And on the SE trim level, you get a leatherette seats and the choice between this Titan black or a light gray interior. As far as materials go, they are actually pretty nice. So you have a soft touch over here, leatherette here where your arm is going to rest, and then a hard touch down here with your bin. The Tiguan SE comes standard with a 6-speaker audio system. You have your door handle here, your unlock and lock, your window lockout for the rear windows, and then your regular window controls, and your heated mirror knob there. And from this position you could actually see the blind spot warning indicator a little better. It's that little black trapezoidal shaped figure on the inside of the mirror, and then when there's someone in your blind spot, that'll actually turn yellow color. Left of the dash we have an air vent, your lighting controls. You also can see the telescoping lever for the steering wheel a little bit better at this angle. You also have a little storage cubby. You can put loose change or anything like that. And you can see your hood release off to the left and your pedals off to the right. So again, you do get leatherette on the SE. So the way the materials work on this car is the S, which is the base, will get cloth. The SEL Premium will get real leather, and anything in between will get this leatherette. Pretty nice contrast stitching, and very comfortable design for the seat too. You have full power with two-way lumbar for the driver. And we'll hop in and check out the rest of the driver's cockpit. Okay, so this is the key that you get with the Tiguan. Now, there's actually two different keys. There's one that looks just a little bit different and it has remote start on the upper trim levels. However, this is the more basic, I guess you could say, key for the Tiguan. But it does have some pretty cool features like the lock and unlock, the trunk release, and the panic alarm. And you also do have a flip out key in case you need it. And as you can see on the other side, it actually has the new Volkswagen logo. However, the Tiguan SE does come with push button start, and the button's right down here. Just put your foot on the brake and press the button. Okay, so we'll start off the driver's cockpit with what's right in front of us. It is, of course, the steering wheel. Now, it is all leatherette lined with some contrast stitching on the inside. Pretty comfortable wheel to grip. It's got a really good thickness to it, and it's very soft and very durable because of the leatherette material. We have some gloss black surrounding our buttons, as well as some bright work, and the nice Volkswagen logo on the airbag cover. Now, most of these buttons have to do with the adaptive cruise control. Now, adaptive cruise control for 2021 comes standard on the SE trim, which is a pretty notable feature. So adaptive cruise control settings, and we also have a button right here that brings up all of our assist systems in the center, as you can see. And you can check and uncheck systems that you want on or off. You also have the audio volume right here. Moving across the airbag cover, we have some buttons, so the up, down, left and right, and then the OK has to do with the screen in the center, along with the view button. Then we also have the voice commands and skipping between our different radio tracks. Behind the steering wheel we have the turn signal and high beam stalk. And to the right we have our front and rear wipers. And up top here we have our standard gauges. So we have mostly analog gauges with a small center digital screen, and on the upper trims such as the SEL and SEL Premium you will get a full digital setup. But for now we have the analog setup. As you can see, we have the rev counter and the coolant temperature on the left, and to the right the speedometer and fuel gauge. And I'm going to go through a couple of the menus in the center screen right here using the buttons on the right. So right here we have kind of like a vehicle information screen, so it'll give us the our average speed, our current speed, different trip settings, travel times, your energy consumption screen, your fuel range, your average economy, and then also your real-time economy, your oil temperature, speed warnings, and then cycling back to your current digital speed. So that's a pretty cool menu over there, but then using the buttons on this side over here, you can get even more information, such as your assist systems. You can see what's activated and deactivated. Moving over, you could get a compass. Moving over once more, you have your audio screen and telephone screen. And we also have vehicle status, so that'll pretty much just tell you if your start-stop is on or if it's canceled. And then it'll cycle back to our driving data like we saw on the first screen. So small center display, but it also does have quite a few pretty usable features. It's a pretty soft to the touch dash. We also have a tray up here to put maybe sunglasses or something like that. We have our air vents, and in the center we have the hazard lights. Then we also have our screen right here, which uniquely enough, when you turn off the screen, you have 4 different clocks that you could choose from. Pretty cool. Then when you turn on the radio, we obviously have our radio screen here, and we could start off with that with all of our presets that display right in the center. And actually a pretty cool feature of the 2021s is that to some extent it actually has a motion sensor. So if you move your hand across like this, it'll actually move your presets. As you can see, your fingers do have to be pretty close to the screen, but it actually works pretty darn good. Now, to my knowledge, that's the only really motion that you could do is on certain screens. You could swipe back and forth like so, but it's pretty cool to see that they included that. And they also have a sensor to where your finger gets close, you could see all the menus pop up. You could also choose what you see in the center. You have your station list right there, and your source right over here. Then you also have a tuning place there, and then you also have your audio settings. We have our media screen here, and our phone screen here, and then a quick voice command button there. We have our app button up here, which is where you go to connect your Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. We have our sound settings right here for the sound system. We have our car screen, so various information such as your trip. You also have different car settings as well. You could also choose what you see in there. So we have your driving data, which is all your trips, and then your vehicle status. And if you click the menu button down here, this is kind of, I guess you could say, your home screen. So you can swipe back and forth with your finger in the air, or actually swipe the screen with your finger, and that'll just give you all of your settings or your different screens in there. And you can also control the climate from this screen as well. So that's a pretty cool feature there. You also have a physical tuning knob on the other side, which lots of people will be happy about. Taking a look down below is the climate control. Now we have 3 simple knobs. So we have the temperature for the driver, temperature for the passenger, and the fan speed in the center. We have our defrosters, AC settings, and also different settings for an automatic function. And it'll also bring up the climate menu on the center display. We have off on this side, sync on that side, and our heated seat controls for both sides. And then these 3 buttons here is where you want the air to blow. And then you also have the last recirculating button there. And you have little LCD displays here for your temperatures on either side. And it is a dual zone climate control. We have a storage tray down here with the wireless charging pad, so you put your phone down there and it'll charge your phone. Then we also do have two USB-C inlets and a 12-volt power outlet down here too. We have the start-stop button for the engine, obviously, and then we have the electronic parking brake. So when the yellow light is on, that means the parking brake is on. You want to deactivate it, you press down. Activate is pick up. Just make sure your foot is on the brake when you're doing any of that. You also do have a mode dial. So we have some terrain mode. So I guess you could say this is the on-road mode. We have a snow mode and then an off-road mode and a custom off-road mode, so you can adjust that too. And then once we go back to our regular on-road mode, you have three different settings. So we have an eco, normal, sport, or a custom. So we can press the custom and then adjust it. And there's a couple things that you can adjust in there. So your steering feel, how sporty your drivetrain is, turning on and off your adaptive cruise control, your climate control, and all that good stuff. So pretty cool to see that they give you a few different services to choose from, like your snow and off-road. And then on your on-road, you get a couple of settings there too as well. And one last button over here is your auto start stop. So you can turn that on and off. And most importantly down here is the gear selector. So it's an 8-speed torque converter automatic. And you can put it into reverse. See that they give you a nice reversing camera with trajectory. You will get parking sensors on the SE R-Line Black trim level and above. So the S and SE just have the parking camera for parking. You have a tray down here. Maybe you could put pens and pencils or just coins. And then a couple of cup holders with adaptive feature. You have a pretty small center console that's leatherette covered. Once you open it up, again, not too big in there, but at least you have it. And taking a look up here is one of our optional accessories, and it is the auto dimming frameless and garage door opener mirror with the digital compass. Up on our center stack, we have a couple of controls for the LED interior lighting, so we can turn the rear lights on, and then also turn the lights on to where they come on when the doors open. We have controls for your sunshade for the sunroof, and then our sunroof controls, so that'll open the glass right there. And a couple of more buttons here, so like an information button, roadside button, and a SOS button. So we have a gray headliner on this car, a cloth headliner, and then we also have the sunshade that blocks pretty much all the light, and we can move that back with this button here. See, it moves back automatically, and it's a really good size panoramic sunroof for this class of car. It's pretty much, the front panel is just as big as the rear, and then you can open up the front panel with this control here, so you can vent it up like that and then put it back like so. A few other things I'd like to touch on are the visors with the mirror and light. You can also put them back like so, and it'll extend to cover all the light from the side. And you also have a grab handle. And at this point in the video, I'm going to adjust the driver's seat to a suitable driving position for myself, and I am 5'10". And then we'll go back in the rear seats, check out how much room we have, and also what kind of amenities we're working with. So very large rear doors for the 2021 Tiguan. Now, fun fact, over in Europe there's actually two Tiguans. There's a short wheelbase and then there's a long wheelbase called the Tiguan Allspace. Now technically here we only get the long wheelbase, so we get the Tiguan with the most amount of room. Materials back here are a little bit different from up front, so instead of having soft touch up here, you have a hard to the touch here, leatherette here, and then a hard to the touch down here. Pretty nice storage tray. It's all carpeted with a couple of controls, so just for your windows and the door handle, and a speaker on the rear door too. As you can see, the rear seats do fold down by just pulling this lever here. They'll fold down in a 20-40-20, or rather a 40-20-40 split. We have nice contrast stitching back here, and again the leatherette. I'll hop in quickly just to show you guys how much space there is. So a very good amount of space, I'd say at least 4 to 6 inches of legroom. We have map pockets back here, a couple of air vents, USB-C charger, and a 12-volt power outlet, and a little bit of storage for something small. We have a relatively small drivetrain hump, so if you need to fit a third central passenger back here, there's no problem with that. And the Tiguan is also available with third row seating. However, this car does not have it. When you do get a third row, you'll get a little bit less room in the second row seating just to make room for the third row. But I can tell you that the third row in these cars are kind of tight. So you really want to reserve that to smaller children. Now we have grab handles, coat hooks, and LED illumination for either side. And a nice, very large sunroof, so you can see relative to the headrest, the sunroof comes back very nicely. You could see we have a fold-away center armrest with some cup holders. And there's also a little push-in button that will release the ski hatch. So if you have something skinny and long you need to put through the vehicle, you can do that. And you can also carry 2 passengers back here while you have that cargo. But for the next portion of the video, we'll check out the front passenger space. So just quickly, I'd like to point out a few things in the front passenger space. Now this door is pretty much the same as the driver's, just a few less buttons. And the front passenger seat is manually adjusting, but 6-way at that, so you have your height, your backrest, and your back and forth down here. And the glove box folds down in a bin style. You have some coin holders, and it is illuminated too. So the Tiguan SEL and SEL Premium will come standard with a power liftgate. However, everything below that will get a manually opening liftgate. However, that's really no big deal because the struts that hold up the trunk lid actually do a good job lifting it up. So all you need to do is lift it up like a quarter of the way and the struts will take right over. So we do have spots to put a privacy shade over here. However, this car does not come with one. And you can see on the cargo floor we have the all-weather trunk liner. And if we lift that up, you can see we have a spare tire in there. And this car does have quite a few accessories. So we have the all-weather floor mats, the cargo management system, the first aid kit, the roadside assistance kit, and the first aid kit, and then also a little kit for the wheel locks. Some extensions to either side of the cargo floor, so if you have like something deep you need to put in there that needs to be secured, you could definitely put it in one of those spaces. Then we also have some handles to either side. When you pull them, the rear seats fold down. Pretty neat feature there. And when you need to close the trunk, there's a pretty neat handle right here. You just pull it down and close it right up. So the Tiguan does come with a 15.9 gallon fuel tank, and according to the EPA you should be seeing right around 21 miles to the gallon in the city and 27 on the highway. Volkswagen gives you this pretty neat cap where you just put it right here and it won't dangle down and scratch your paint. And it looks like you can use regular octane fuel. So to conclude this video, I hope you have enjoyed the 2021 Volkswagen Tiguan in the SE trim level just as much as I have, and I also hope you stay with us here at NNT Auto Reviews for future in-depth car reviews.